Tim Breitmeyer joins me now. He's just been on one of the panels at the Forum for the Future of Agriculture. He's Vice President at the Country Landowners Association. You have 1,600 acres in the east of England in Cambridgeshire. Tim, you're a farmer first and foremost. There's huge pressure on farmers today, produce more, input less. What was your main message to the Forum today?
I think the main message is that I think farmers are up to the challenge. I think they've made a lot of progress already, and I quoted some examples at the end there. Certainly, one of the ladies from the floor, when she asked her question, Denmark voluntarily have now basically completely enveloped stewardship, and certainly in my part of East Anglia, the voluntary basic scheme that we had, I think 90% of arable farmers by the time it finished were in the scheme. And the sad thing is, in a way, because we've now gone down the mandatory route, actually there's going to be a gap between the two, and actually, if anything, we may, I regret to say, almost take a backward step going forward.
Okay, so greening of the cap, the way
greening
it's
of
going
the cap is, don't get me wrong, greening of the cap is going to make a significant difference across Europe, and it will continue to make a difference in the UK. But because of the complexity of actually dealing with it, farmers actually are probably going to look for the easiest way of satisfying the system, rather than possibly the system that gives the most environmental benefit.
One of the points you made in the panel was that you still need to farm profitably. To look at the economics and the agronomics, they don't need to be on opposite sides, but there needs to be a balance.
I'm a great believer, and funny enough, the lady from Denmark said exactly the same point at the end. I'm a great believer in the analogy of the field, and the sacrificial areas around the edge, some of the margins, can be used very effectively for this environmental resource protection, put it another way. I am very keen we operate in terms that farmers understand, and public goods means nothing to a farmer. But then he must be left to farm the rest of the field to the very, very best ability profitably, so that his business is profitable, it's trading in the black, and therefore he can do the most from the environment and be the greenest farmer.
Views do change, don't they? We do progress. Forums like this are important for airing your views on progress. I know that you run a shoot on your farm, and that whilst the animal rights people will have something to say about that, equally, I think the RSPB recently said that, in fact, you promote hedgerows, you promote those margins, that diversity, biodiversity that we need, and that these things can be good. So some of these practices are age-old, and farmers know these things all too well.
When my father bought our farm in just about 55 years ago now, he bought it because he was a shooting fan. And when we first bought the farm, we put in more woods, we put in more hedgerows. I think our farm has only lost one hedgerow in the last 50 years. And interestingly, when it came to the environmental stewardship side of it, we didn't need to do any more. We already had it, and we had voluntarily done it. Funnily enough, partially because of shooting. I don't necessarily condone all of the practices that go on with shooting, but it's a way of life to many people. It's a pursuit that many people have carried out over 300 or 400 years. It's shaped our countryside, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, as the RSPB indeed have just said, that it brings benefit to the countryside.
What would be your message to the policymakers here, to the framework, looking for the space for innovation, entrepreneurship, all the things we talk about, precision farming and all the rest, moving forward? What would you want to hear in terms of the rest of the debate at the Forum here today?
I think I come back to the fact that we must trade profitably. Now, whether we do that by trying to take more of the end user price, or whether we get a higher price because of the availability of the product, that's clearly going to be undesirable, because we still have to feed the world. But yes is the answer. Technology has a place. I'm already seeing it on my own farm, and I think that's only a one-way ticket. I think that's going to improve. Just think of the one example I gave. My oilseed rape in the autumn gets literally 60% of the nitrogen it used to across the field, but the plant gets twice as much as we used to put on the field. So the plant is benefiting, the environment is benefiting, and so hopefully is my profitability.
Tim, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the forum today.